So, the Seattle Seahawks are Super Bowl champs. But you know what everyone was saying after the game? That it was boring. Yep, boring. Today, we're going to peel back the layers on that game. We're going to look past the scoreboard and find out how it seemed like a total snooze fest was actually one of the most brilliant defensive performances we've seen in years.
And look, Pat McAfee kind of nailed what a lot of us were thinking, right? This wasn't some back-and-forth thriller, no last-second touchdowns. It was just a slow, painful beatdown of the Patriots. But that's the thing. When you look closer, that's where this whole story gets really interesting.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How does a game that felt like watching paint dry go down in the history books as a total masterpiece? How in the world did Seattle manage to turn boring into their most deadly weapon? Well, that's exactly what we're about to figure out.
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at why it was a boring masterpiece. Then, we'll get into the architect, Mike Macdonald, and that absolutely smothering defense. After that, we'll see how it was a tale of two very different QBs. And we'll wrap it all up by asking, could this be the next dynasty?
Okay, first things first. To really get why this was a masterpiece, you gotta understand why everyone was calling it boring. And honestly, the whole story is just sitting there in the box score. This wasn't a win built on huge, exciting plays. Nope. It was all about slow, grinding, relentless pressure.
I mean, think about how weird this win was. The Seahawks absolutely dominate, right? But their top scorer was their kicker, Jason Myers, who drills a record 5 field goals. And the MVP? Kenneth Walker. He goes off for 161 total yards and doesn't score a single touchdown. It was a total beatdown for sure, but in a way that just felt different.
So you got to ask yourself, how does a team even win a Super Bowl that way? A performance like this, it doesn't just happen, you know? It has to be designed. It has to be built. And the guy who built it is Seattle's young, super intense, and flat-out brilliant head coach, Mike Macdonald.
And his backstory is just unbelievable. I mean, he was only hired a little over a year ago. It's been this crazy fast rise to the top. But get this, it almost never happened. A few years back, when he was just a young assistant, he was so fed up, he actually went and interviewed for a finance job at KPMG. Can you even imagine? Thankfully for Seattle, he stuck with football, and man, is he proving to be one of the best defensive minds out there. And this right here tells you everything you need to know about the culture he's built. Macdonald has this reputation, right? He's a hard ass, and he brought that vibe to Seattle. He literally started stacking the helmets of every team they beat in the meeting room. A physical monument to every single win. You might think it's just a gimmick, but it perfectly sums up their entire identity. You are not going to out-tough us.
But here's the flip side. He's not just some intense, screaming football guy. Right after winning the Super Bowl, the biggest moment of his entire career, the first thing he tells his team is, I need to become a better public speaker for you guys. That little bit of humility, that's what makes guys want to run through a wall for you. The players knew right then and there that they had someone special leading them.
All right, now let's talk about the engine of this whole machine, that defense. It was just smothering, suffocating, absolutely historic. This was not your typical bend but don't break defense. Oh no, this was a we are going to be in your face defense from the very first play to the very last.
So to really get how they did it, you've got to understand their basic philosophy. It all starts with something called split safeties. And look, it's pretty simple. It just means they keep their two safeties way back, deep down the field. They have so much trust in their guys up front to handle the run that they don't need to bring a safety down to help out.
And that is the whole key. Because they can stop the run with just their defensive line, they can get insane pressure on the quarterback with only 4 rushers. For a defensive coordinator, that's the holy grail. Most teams have to blitz, they have to send 5-6 guys to get that kind of pressure. But Seattle's front 4 did it all by themselves. And that let them drop 7 guys back into coverage to just wreck the quarterback's day. It's a numbers game, and they completely won it.
So how well did it work? You want to know? The New England Patriots did not get their first down until late in the third quarter. Just let that sink in for a second. We're talking more than half the Super Bowl, and the Patriots offense could not move the ball 10 yards, not once. It's just unbelievable.
A defensive performance like that, it does more than just win you a football game. It defines careers. And in this Super Bowl, it created 2 totally different, totally opposite stories for the 2 quarterbacks on the field.
So on one sideline, you've got Sam Darnold, a guy everybody had written off as a bust, and here he is, completing one of the greatest comeback stories ever. He's calm, he's avoiding sacks, and now he's a Super Bowl champ. And then, on the other side, you have 23-year-old Drake Maye just going through an absolute trial by fire. He looked rattled. You know, he looked completely shaken up and was just choked up after the game.
And what's so crazy is that Sam Darnold, of all people, knows exactly what Drake Maye was feeling. Remember years ago when Darnold was on the mic and said that famous line, "I'm seeing ghosts." That's what a defense like this does to you. It doesn't just beat you up physically. It gets inside your head. It makes you see things that aren't there. For Darnold to be on the winning side of that, I mean, what a full circle moment.
But look, we have to give Maye some context here. This wasn't just a single bad game against a great defense. His entire path through the playoffs was a complete murderer's row of defenses. I mean, a relentless gauntlet. He had to go through the #1 defense, then another top-tier unit. And his reward for all that? He gets to face this Seattle buzzsaw, maybe the best defense in the entire league. It was just a brutal, brutal experience for a young QB.
So, what's the takeaway from all of this? You have this dominant, historic win, you have a young genius at head coach, you have a defense that just strangles offenses. It all points in one direction, doesn't it? The Seattle Seahawks might just be getting warmed up.
I mean, just look at the pieces they have in place. The coach, young and maybe already the best defensive mind in the game. The culture, this tough, disciplined identity that the whole team is bought into. The front office, you've got GM John Schneider, who made the gutsy call to move on from Pete Carroll to get his guy. And you've got quiet, stable ownership that just stays out of the way. You guys, this is how dynasties are built.
Which brings us to the one big question we're all left with. This team is young, this coach is only going to get better, this defense is built to last. So, are we watching the birth of the NFL's next great dynasty? After seeing them pull off that boring masterpiece, it is really, really hard to bet against them. The rest of the league is officially on notice.